All right, everyone, welcome back into the Sunday live stream here for you guys. Good evening to Benjamin. Good evening to Unicorn Love. We got Heath in here as well. HB Cards in here as well. So, yes, we have a Sunday 6-game slate. We were talking on just prior to the video. Kind of an interesting slate in general. We are still waiting on some news, but what are your initial thoughts here for this slate, Jayhawk?
Yeah, man. Looks like a pretty good slate. We were kind of talking. I think Zion's news is pretty much the most vital piece of news left on the slate. So excited to break this one down.
Got Luke with this comment. Yesterday was weird. I had some very good lineups, some lineups that I thought could win. The Pelicans game did not end up working out with the players I was on, but I did have some bad lineups as well. It was one of the weirdest nights where I had some really bad lineups and some really good lineups. It was a strange night yesterday. So sorry you're on the bad end of that, but yeah, tonight could end up being another night where it's just being on the correct Pelicans pretty much. But we can start off here with one of the earlier games Yeah, we'll start with one of the earlier games here. We'll start out here with Portland, and then we'll jump on into some other stuff here as well. So we'll start with Portland. They're pretty banged up. So Denny Avdija is confirmed out. That was some news that we were waiting on, and so we got that. Sharp is still out. And then we also have Henson and Sissoko, both questionable. That could impact a little bit, but starting with them, we are seeing that we are getting now a lot of Donovan Clingan chalk and then a lot of Drew Holiday chalk as well. Grant is getting some ownership as well. Who are you looking at here for Portland?
Yeah, love the Klingon chalk. I think, with him being back here, they're kind of limited at center. So getting to a bunch of Klingon, always forget to pronunciate these names. And then I think Drew Holiday is pretty solid in cash games as well. Pretty good shooting night last time out for him. So I like Drew Holiday a lot in cash games. And then Jeremy Grant here, I did want to hear your take. I think he's solid, 26% owns, more of a filler play for me. But what are your thoughts here with the Trailblazers?
Yeah, so I'm a little surprised that Drew Holiday is that much more owned than Jeremy Grant. I kind of view them as similar plays where, Grant's a little bit more scoring dependent where Drew can do it in other ways. But if we were to pull up his game, well, Drew Holiday was someone that, was kind of struggling over the past couple of games. And then you finally had Grant with a down game. So I kind of just think they should be about the same, kind of what they are on like FanDuel. But that's because Drew Holiday is a little bit higher priced there. So I'm kind of finding into a little bit more of Grant and a little bit less of Drew Holiday. I agree that they both should be chalked, though.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good spot. Dyson Daniels should be on Drew Holiday, so maybe that's another reason to get more of a Jeremy Grant as well.
And we are getting, I would say, some interesting values here popping up in here as well. Like all of them are pretty good. So we got Chris Murray popping in as a good DK value, Vic Krejci popping up as a good value on both sites as well, and even Kamara and Scoot Henderson are popping up as decent values as well, and they are gaining some ownership. Do you have a favorite in that range, or do you even like any of them at all?
Yeah, I actually was going to ask you about Scoot Henderson. I think he's a pretty sick pivot off of Drew Holiday in tournaments. So, like Scoot for his scoring upside, I'm off the bench here. So, what are your thoughts with Scoot or the rest of these guys here?
I actually like Krejci a little bit more so. That's kind of the one I would rather get to just because we don't need as much out of him, but that's more of a value-based play. I'm kind of fine getting to just some of them. These are kind of my prototypical shoulder shrug plays, but more as values where, if I'm closing on my build, I'm kind of okay getting into them. It's not like I'm necessarily going out of my way to target them, though.
Yeah, I agree. Shoulder shrug for sure.
We'll jump on into Atlanta then. I was actually a little bit bummed out that both, who was it, Nah, and then also Jalen Johnson, they're questionable. I was kind of hoping that they would sit tonight just to make it a little bit easier for Atlanta purposes. We are seeing Daniels and Johnson get some ownership, but now with them both being active, Kuminga is not really being valued at all by the industry. What are your thoughts on him first, Kuminga? Is he someone that you could be pretty overweight on? Are you expecting any big things out of him? Or is it just because we haven't projected for 22 minutes? That seems pretty safe that those are going to be his minutes, and so probably don't need to be on him.
Yeah, I think with Jalen Johnson here, I think his overall minutes and usage should be down. So I think he's probably correctly owned. And I love getting to Kuminga when I can, but I think in this spot with Jalen back, I think he's correct here.
Yeah, he was just someone, as I originally started the day, I was putting him into my builds, hoping that one of those two would be out. And so now seeing his projected minutes at 22, it's like, oh, geez, I probably need to change some lineups pretty much.
Yeah. I did want to hear your thoughts, Eric, on the guards here, Dyson and I guess Naw himself. Do you have any interest in those two guards?
Not particularly. I mean, Dyson, you could ride the hot hand with him a little bit, but I do think that was mostly just due to situation where, we've had a couple of the Atlanta players being banged up. So I don't necessarily want to get there with really anyone here. I'm perfectly fine paying up for Jalen Johnson now that he's healthy, chasing that ceiling. I did have troubles like in regards to paying up for forwards on the slate, so I'm fine doing that. But other than that, I'm kind of just okay to not get into them.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a good spot, I think, in tournaments, but it's just kind of tough to get there, to each one respectively. So I'm with you.
Okay. Any other thoughts or plays here?
No, I think we covered it good here.
Okay. Yeah, we'll jump on into the next game. Then we'll go into Detroit versus Orlando. So this is a 4.5 point spread, 224.5 game total. So Detroit is still without Isaiah Stewart, and we are getting some ownership here, but not a ton. So Duran, Cade, Tobias, and Thompson are all getting about 10 to 15% ownership here. Cade a little bit more on FanDuel. Are you looking at any of those four in particular tonight?
Yeah, I think like all of them are fine tournament stabs. Orlando, kind of a more paced down matchup, so I think you can get to any of them in tournaments. Nothing in particular. Kind of the bounce it back to year to year. Do you have anyone you like in particular?
Well, just with my early hand builds, it's a little bit different for some of the generated lineups, which is it's always a little strange how that works out. But I didn't get to much of Cade in that regard, generated lineups. But for hand lineups, I'm overweight. I'm at about 25 to 30%, I think it was. So definitely overweight on him on DraftKings. And it's just more with how lineups shaked out to be. And I was just kind of trying to chase some upside, and he's the player that I was getting to the most, mostly because this game doesn't have blowout risk. That was basically the logic there over Maxi, over Luca. Maybe that's my way of getting different, but again, generated lineups, it's a little bit lower.
Yeah, I think if I had to pick one here, it probably would be Jalen Duren for me.
Okay.
I like the upside. Kind of a slower pace game. Maybe Duren thrives a little bit more. So I would say Duren for me.
Yeah, honestly, I'm perfectly happy to get to him as well. He does have that upside too. 8.2. It feels like a pretty safe price. Like even against Orlando, who, 224.5 game total. It's not terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Then we'll jump into Orlando. So what are you doing with Ben Carroll? Because he has been going off. He was getting a lot of slack on social media where he what was the narrative? It was basically like he's the worst draft pick you can make, where he's like too good to not pay him, but like not get enough to justify the salary. And since the All-Star break, that was kind of the narrative in between All-Star break. Since then, he's kind of been going off. So let's start with him. Is he someone you're trying to pay up for, or would you rather pay down a little bit or try to get to someone like Jalen Johnson?
Yeah, so Paulo himself, I do love him as a player. I think he kind of gets dogged on overall as a player. So love Paulo. And this matchup, though, Eric, I don't love it against Detroit. Obviously, pretty good defensive team. So I'll probably be slightly underweight, even at the low ownership. So I'm not a huge fan. I'd almost rather get to the rest of Orlando, like Suggs, any Anthony Black. I think I do prefer the guards here. Did you have a different take for Orlando?
No, not really. I didn't actually get to as much of Bane, even though Bane's been going off recently as well. But with them, I was going to say with Black being out, I could get to some more Carter. I just don't know if I like that ownership there at 3.6. So yeah, I don't. It's kind of just a weird spot. Like I'm fine getting to Bane. I know he's been going off. He's just starting to get priced up enough, and I want to get to Carter. I think 20% is just correct, if that makes sense.
Yeah, great shot with Carter. I did not know Black was also a good call there. I think he's fine. He does seem kind of low in the model, so maybe something to note there as well. So I'm with you. I think he's a little bit over him.
See, that's something where if I wasn't looking at the model right now and just like, oh, Anthony Black is out, Carter's been someone that's been playing while he's cheap, I would just like fired him off. But seeing that he's 20% and seeing that the model doesn't necessarily love him, it's like I'm fine being underweight.
How about Tristan Da Silva, Eric? 4,100, kind of similar to
Yeah,
The talk of do you like him there, De Silva?
a little bit more, especially I think we're getting a tougher slate for some of the small forward, power forward value. So I'm fine getting there
Yeah,
as like a value play.
I'm with you. I think I do prefer De Silva to Carter as well.
And then anyone else here for Orlando, or should we jump into the next game?
I think that does it. Just one more thought on Desmond Bain.
Yeah.
I think he's probably correctly owned. So I don't know. I don't love the spot once again. So maybe just match the field there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Match the field. Yep. Yeah, we'll jump on into Philly versus Boston here, and Philly, man. So I want to be on all the Philly plays because I feel like they're all a little bit under owned and underpriced, and that's the issue. Is that it's a 9.5 point spread, and it's really not the best game total. 221 game total here, and so I like Maxey, I like Kelly Oubre, I like VJ Edgecombe. I don't think we need to begin to like all of them in a build together. But I'm overweight on them, and it is risky because it could end up being a blowout. But the minutes are all there. I mean, Edgecombe at 36, Maxey at 37, and Oubre at about 34. So am I crazy there? Do you hate them? Are you indifferent? Where are you at with those three?
Yeah, I think, all those three respectively, they're fine to mix in. I think Philly probably plays this game closer than the 9.5 spread. So I don't hate taking stabs there with Maxi. If I did play Maxi, maybe I'd be more inclined to run it back, maybe with the Boston piece as well. So wanted to address that. In terms of the value here, Eric, Barlow, Drummonds, and we'll add Quinn Grimes in here as well. Did you have a favorite? They're pulling up a little bit of ownership here.
My favorite is actually Bona.
Okay.
I've been correct on him. I'm like 3 for 3 so far this year. Not he hasn't like broken the slates on the days I've been on him, but he's been good enough, and I think he'll be good enough today. I just don't. You don't necessarily need to get to him. I'm at about like 9% today, so not much more than the field. But I did set like I want 7% of him, and I bumped up some of his fantasy projections. Just I think it ends up being a good spot for him if it ends up being a blowout. But in regards to some of the other plays, I'm fine with Drummond and Barlow at their ownerships. Again, I'm trying to get to more of Oubre, Edgecombe, and Maxey, and then Bona, and so I don't want to overload on the Sixers. So.
Yeah, I feel like just the best way to put it would be like whoever fits in like the last piece in, I'd be fine with. Barlow in my like first run, I was getting the most of, but no issues mixing all these value guys in.
We got a question coming in, so we'll answer this. I'll let you answer this as well. So we got Kelly Oubre over Kuminga, question mark?
I think so. Did you have a different take there?
No, I would agree. Unless the minutes end up being completely wrong for Kuminga, then maybe it's a toss-up. But for now, yeah, Oubre.
Agreed.
All right, so we'll jump on into Boston. So you said, like, if you're playing someone from Philly, you might want to run it back. Is there anyone in particular?
Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown is kind of the obvious one. I think he looks fantastic though in like a mini game stack. So probably Jaylen. I always like getting to Pritchard, but the price point is finally coming up now on him. So mainly Brown for me in run backs, and then Derek White. He kind of had a letdown game the last time out, but I think you can always mix him in. Mainly just Jaylen Brown here for me. Eric, did you have a different take?
No, just on FanDuel, I think Pritchard is definitely much more appealing with that price difference there, $400, and he's only 13% there. I feel like that ends up being a little bit too low on FanDuel specifically. But other than that, I don't want to get too much of Boston, even though they are 9.5 point favorites, which is kind of strange in what I think could be a good game.
Yeah, Neemias Queta was he's getting some love on FanDuel. I didn't really know what to do there. He paltered me the other slate too. What are your thoughts there with Queta?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good FanDuel rating, 18.2. I mean, just looking at that, it's kind of suggesting that he could be a little undervalued there.
Yeah.
I'd probably just be even weight with the field there. I don't really have a take. Do you have any conviction on him at all?
I like the price point, and I think the matchup could be decent against Drummond and Bona. So I like it. I'm going to trust the model there.
That's fair. That's a good call with the matchup. I might need to get more of him just in general tonight because he's popping up as a good DK value still as well, like 15. I mean, that's still pretty solid there.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll jump on into OKC versus Dallas. And this was a game that we were having fun talking with prior to the live stream, guys. And I'll start out here with someone that I think could be sneaky good. He has gained some ownership here, and that's what worries me because he's not the best DK value as well. AJ Johnson. So We got Najee Marshall out, PJ Washington now as well, Bagley, and then also Flagg. They're both still out. So he's projected to get almost 28 minutes in the 16-point blowout here against OKC. So it is dependent on the blowout, but I like the point guard, shooting guard eligibility. He is someone that did have a decent game in the last game, and it makes sense for him to get minutes. And so if he gets 27 minutes, I think there's a chance that the data could be not loving him as much as it should be. I do worry that the 12% is starting to get a little bit rich. Like if he gets to 17, then I'm like, all right. Or even like 20, like I'd be like, yeah, let's start to like who was the player earlier on in the live stream that we were just saying that with? I forget. Carter.
Yeah,
Carter. It could end up being like that. So that's kind of my thoughts for value here. I'll let you take kind of the rest of Dallas here.
Yeah, first of all, love that shout there with AJ Johnson. If he stays low, I love him. Kind of targeting the guys I think that can play through blowout here. I think Brandon Williams gets a good chunk through blowout, so I think he's fine at his ownership. Overall here, Eric, kind of a tougher matchup. So yeah, Caleb Martin, he's kind of the guy I'm a little bit scared of. 22% projected ownership.
Yeah.
Minutes seem kind of sus to me as well. So Caleb Martin, I do think is slightly overowned. And then Max Christie, man, I do not know what I want to do there. He's kind of just like there for me, the best way to put it. Did you have any thoughts with Christie?
No, it's so weird because like this is kind of a similar situation as to what he came into like last year at the trade deadline where he was going off, and recently he hasn't been producing like really that much, and so I'm just kind of I'm okay staying away from him.
Yeah, he just feels like if this game gets out of hand at all, he's just going to get yanked, which kind of scares me. So that I'm just kind of okay. I don't love it with Christie.
Yeah. And then I do just want to mention, like with AJ Johnson getting 28 minutes and Ryan Nembhard only 18, I get why there's the big ownership difference between those two, but they're both young players. Like I think it makes sense for both of them to get minutes. And I know Nembhard just got called up with his two-way contract and whatnot. I think Tyus Jones is no longer with the team. Always weird at this time of year with that stuff happening. So it's not going to be some of that I think the data would naturally like, but I do see a path where he ends up getting just as much or maybe more minutes than AJ Johnson potentially. So I don't dislike him. I do think being like 5% of him, like the field is correct, although the data really hates it. What I find interesting about Dallas is the data is saying we have decent values here for sure, but based off of the ownership, I kind of think some players might be a little overvalued here, especially based off of the projected minutes as well. So it's kind of it's a very interesting spot here for Dallas.
Yeah, it's very tough, Eric. I don't want to say it's like the Wizards where it's difficult, but in this matchup, it seems very difficult. One more name here, Klay Thompson. He's another guy kind of like Martin. I think I want to come in underweight too. Obviously he's a veteran, so he should get pulled in a potential blowout as well. So maybe slightly underweight there as well.
Yeah, I actually have a hefty amount of Klay right now in some of the initial builds that I ran generated, and so I got to change that. It's just I kind of get it because he's cheap and he gets 24 minutes. Like he should be a safe play. Just will he really break the slate? And it's just like even like Chris Middleton feel like if this game was going to be close, like I would say yeah, Klay's too cheap, Middleton's too cheap, but because it's a 16-point spread, like that's brutal for those vets.
Yeah, for sure. It could obviously stay like closer than this, but I just don't see him, man, personally.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it was like half, like 8.5, maybe, or something like that. But 16 is crazy. We'll jump into OKC. Anyone here that you're loving here for OKC again in this game that is a massive blowout projection?
Just first to address the rumors, I will not be playing Lou Dort tonight. Just in case you're curious, Eric. So no Lou Dort for me. He is a very dirty player. But moving to the rest of OKC, I think like SGA, Shet. I would love them if this game was going to be probably closer. Very good matchup for both these guys, but I think I prefer them on FanDuel. Better prices over there, so more FanDuel plays for me. What are your thoughts here overall with OKC?
Well, I think at least one of them are too low owned tonight. It does feel like a guessing game as to which one. Like I feel like there's a chance that SGA does really go off and dominate tonight. I just think the chances of it being SGA and Chet Holmgren going off or something like that, I feel like that's more limited. But I'm fine being overweight on SGA. He had a good game last game. is projecting pretty well, good off index rating. And with a lot of the top end players not getting much ownership, I think this could be a decent leverage opportunity. Like if this game's a blowout, I mean, he should be able to feast against these Dallas guards. Like, and I really don't mind him. I think he's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I'd be fine being double the field, honestly, on DraftKings. I think FanDuel's fine at 25, honestly.
Yeah, it's a fantastic matchup, Eric. I mean, very, very good matchup. I did want to hear your thoughts on kind of the cheaper guards on here.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
I have to. Isaiah Joe, man, and McCain. I think I prefer Joe. Minutes should be a little bit, elevated for him. So 0% owned or 6%. I can't really read there. I think Joe is a fine as like a super tournament flyer.
I'm actually fine with both of them. I wouldn't play both of them in a lineup together. Isaiah Joe's been pretty solid. I don't know if we necessarily need to get to him though tonight. I think like AJ Johnson, I'd rather just get to him at a much cheaper price tag. But McCain, he's been pretty solid as well, and he's someone that in a blowout gets 18 minutes. He's been getting shot attempts up. He's been productive. I'd rather chase that just at his price tag, but. Okay. Yeah, I'm not like comfortable doing it. It does make sense though. Like again, blowout, so makes sense.
Yeah, I just wanted to like bump him a little bit. I probably will only get like 1% even after bumping, but I just wanted to shout him out down here.
I don't think that's a terrible idea. I don't like, yeah, if you want to be, I guess for McCain be 4% and Joe be 2%, I think that makes sense. Like being overweight on the field, that's not a terrible idea with them.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah. So let's see this question. So any idea who starts for Dallas? I'm looking at Williams, Christie, Middleton, Martin, Gafford. Are you seeing anything else?
That's what I saw as well. I think that's probably what they run. AJ Johnson should come off the bench, so I agree.
Yeah. We'll try to come back to this one, Jose. We'll update the data before we do the first look. But as it's currently sitting, I think it was like 22 minutes or something like that for Kuminga, 21 or so.
Yeah, we had it, I think, 20, 21, 22. That should be correct.
Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and what we have the Pelicans versus the Clippers. So yes, the Pelicans were a fun team last night. They're much more difficult tonight though with Zion. So I'm expecting Zion to sit. That's how I'm preparing. The data only has him projected for 27 minutes, which if he does get that, yeah, it does mean some of the Pelicans are too thin, but I kind of like into the Pelicans here. I like Herbert Jones as price tag. I like Bay a lot still at 6.3. I think he's undervalued on ownership, 14%. I like going back to Fears. And then Murphy, that's where it gets difficult because we have both Murphy and Murray active. And so that's where it starts to get not as fun because they are both projected to get some minutes. So I like getting to like 3 Pelicans tonight. It's going to be my make or break point tonight as well. Where are you at here with the Pelicans?
No, I love it, Eric. This is kind of the leverage spot for me. I think all these Pelicans look great at their ownerships. Let's start with DeJounte.
Okay.
Rest of last game, 5,900. I like the price point there. Should play pretty good minutes in a close game here. Potentially no Zion, so love DeJounte at his price. And then I'm with you. I think Jeremiah Fears really getting overlooked tonight. He should be a guy that plays regardless of how this game goes. So love Fears in tournaments. And then Eric, the guy that I want to shout out here, Carlo Malkovich, totally butchered that. If there's no Zion, I think he's going to look really good in tournaments as well. So wanted to shout him out as well.
And also quick shout out to the chat too. They're hyping him up yesterday as well. So I ended up getting more of him because of the chat hyping him up too last night. So good shout out for the chat. Yeah, I do want to make it clear. I like the Pelicans, specifically assuming Zion's out. That's how I'm going about attacking it. So if he's active, then I'm still getting to Bay. I'm still getting to Herbert Jones somewhat. And I would still get to Malkovich as well. After that, I do think it would become more thin. But again, planning on Zion sitting, that makes the Pelicans to me much more appealing.
Yeah, for sure. Great way to put it. And then Sadiq Bey, I think he's going to look better, assuming no Zion. Good price point. I've kind of already bet his overs on the sportsbook, so let's hope Zion misses here.
Yeah, do you think his ownership would like skyrocket, or would it not go up too much if Zion were like ruled out before lineup lock?
I think it should elevate or go up here. I would think maybe to like 25, maybe 30.
Okay.
Probably around 25 though, if that is.
Okay. Fair. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious. I will say if Zion plays, then I think Fears would end up not being as good of a play. Like I do think that matters for him. Just to call out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Definitely prefer him if Zion misses.
Okay. And then, yeah, the other side of this game here as well, Clippers. So also kind of some important news here. I would say we're waiting on news as to whether or not John Collins plays and Darius Garland's out. And so it kind of sounds weird to say, but yeah, if Collins sits, that's 28 minutes that are gone. That means maybe some of the other plays become more appealing, like Benedict Mathurin, maybe even Derek Jones, Chris Dunn. So are you preparing at all for John Collins to be out, or kind of how are you going about navigating that, and then how are you attacking the Clippers?
Yeah, I think it's kind of more 50-50 for me on Collins. I think he probably, well, I don't really know. I think it's probably
Okay.
50-50. I'd say either way, I think Kawhi looks awesome, both sides. Love getting up to him. Mathurin, I think, is kind of underowned, both sides for his upside, so don't hate mixing him in. And then if we do get Collins out, Eric, don't hate taking a stab here at Jordan Miller, super cheap as well, 1% owns. Outside of those three, not much I love here. How about you?
Yeah, no, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. If John Collins sits, I do like Jordan Miller a decent amount there. I will say I think Mathurin's kind of correctly priced. If Collins plays, sure he could have a ceiling. I don't know. I kind of need to see it with him. I could argue he's like too overowned right now on DraftKings at 18%.
Yeah.
Could end up being wrong about that. He burned me. I will be honest. He had like 6 turnovers in the last game, and so it's definitely recency bias there. But I don't know. I feel like he's. I mean, maybe he could be at like 7.2, I guess, and then I would say he's correctly priced, like how he is on FanDuel, I guess. But I don't know. I feel like with the news that we need for John Collins to sit, I just don't see it being worth the risk. I guess if that makes sense for me.
Yeah, one more thing to add on to that, Eric. I think I'd probably only want one of him or Leonard, Mathurin or Leonard in one lineup. So maybe just pick one or the other.
Oh, 1 second. I got to block some comments here.
Got the bots in Eric.
Yeah, I mean, we're making it, dude. We got some bots going right now. That's crazy. I think I got it. We'll see. Yeah, we'll jump on here. Do we got one more game on the slate? I forget. We do have the late night game. Perfect. So we'll jump on into the Kings and Lakers. So yeah, the Kings are tough because you just don't know what the minutes are going to be. Although we have 3 players that are projected for 30 plus minutes. We got Precious, Clifford, and Raynaud, all over 30 minutes. So are any of those 3 appealing to you tonight?
Man, this is like the one team, Eric, like tough spot. Sacramento, I think it's mainly one of Precious or Raynaud if I had to pick a spot here against the Lakers' best player, DeAndre Ayton here. Joking. I think both those guys are fine taking stabs at, but no one I love here in particular.
Yeah, I'm actually fine being a little overweight on Raynaud and Clifford, but I don't think you need to go crazy with that. I think they're pretty much correctly owned right now. But I like them. I will say, like, I'm perfectly content. Actually, I'd probably say 10% for Clifford and Raynaud. Honestly, probably 10% as well. Just chasing this. If they're going to get 30 minutes, I'm okay with that. A little bit of a way to get different, but other than that, I don't like. It's not like I'm necessarily expecting big things out of them. I just think that's a way to gain some leverage on this slate.
Yep, I'm with you. I think they're all fine to take stabs at.
And then I don't know if has your social media feed been getting some Killian Hayes love, because mine has strangely been getting that. I don't know. Is he just getting dogged on lately?
Man, I don't know. What's funny is one of my former high school teammates used to play or was playing with Killian Hayes on the Cavaliers G League team. So nice. Congrats to Hayes, man, for making it back up to the league. But
it is an awesome story, right?
I was not getting there, but he has not been on my feed, Eric, to answer your question.
Okay, I got you. You get that stuff? There was, I'm just getting a strange amount of a certain player. I'm like, what is going on here? So, okay. He was someone that I was a little bit looking at. I was looking at Plowden as well. Just like, all right, 13-point spread. Let's see how many minutes they're going to get. So Hayes is at 14, and Plowden, if he was at 25, I'd think about it. But we just don't need to get there tonight. So we'll jump on into the Lakers here. You mentioned Aiden, so he was actually popping up yesterday, and he kind of is today as well. But now he's not getting any ownership, and he probably shouldn't be. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah. Before we get into it, who's better, DeAndre Ayton or Clint Capella? I have to ask you that first.
I mean, right now, Aiden, I feel bad for Aiden because it's clearly not a good offense for him and system for him. Like, everyone knew that going into the season as well, and it's just like classic. Like, I wish I could have, like, if that was a poly market bet, I would have smashed something like that. At what point in the season? Well, I probably would have got it wrong because I would have said it earlier. But like, at what point of the season would Lakers fans start hating on DeAndre Ayton? And I would have lost it because I would have said like January or something. But it's predictable, right? That's just, it's just how it goes. But Clint Capella though, career rise, wouldn't you say?
I think so. I mean, right now it has to be Aiden for me, just in their point of their careers.
Yeah.
But yeah, historically, I'd probably want Capella on my team.
Yeah,
but
it's actually a fun talking point right there.
But in terms of the Lakers tonight, DeAndre Ayton, I was not getting there. I think Luka's the only guy I really like getting to here. Good price point, good matchup. I think this game should be more competitive than it was last night. So I do like Luka up top in tournaments. Did you have a taker on LeBron? He was questionable. Do you think he plays or misses tonight?
Yeah, just with the back and the back-to-back, I'm kind of assuming he's actually going to play, but there is that risk there. He had a great game last night, and so it is tough not to chase that. But I was actually not getting to many of the Laker plays tonight. I was actually trying to pay up for, again, like Cade, Maxey, some Jalen Johnson, some of those plays more.
Yeah, that's completely fair. 13-point spread, so totally valid there.
Mm-hmm. So let's go ahead and refresh the data here just to see what's going on. Then we'll give you guys a first look build. Let me just see. Some of the ownerships. Not too much change in regards to ownerships, value. Jett Howard popping up in there now for Orlando. That's a little interesting, actually.
Could be a sick pivot off of
Carter.
Carter, yeah. Thanks for helping me out. Yeah, Javon Carter.
And his ownership went down slightly to 16. So I think that's starting to get correct for him. Jett Howard, that's interesting. 21 minutes. I don't hate that.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get into a first look build. So I'm struggling really with the players I want to pay up for because I think they're all very much appealing. So is there anyone specifically that you want to pay up for, or is it more of a day where you want to back end build it with some values?
I really like Kawhi in that New Orleans game. I think that should be competitive enough. And he is rested, so he should be good to go here.
Fair. We'll do that. And then because you're doing that, I'm going to get to Bay. I like Bay tonight. Assuming Zion sits, it's my kind of take. So we'll put him in there. And then from there, what do you want to do from there?
Let's fit some value in here, Eric. Man, it's difficult tonight. Who do you like from, I guess we can go through Dallas. Do you have a favorite Dallas piece in particular?
Well, for value, it was Johnson. I think that's sneaky. The data doesn't necessarily like that, so I don't know if we want to play him. Like, we could just go Jett Howard, who is, again, right now popping up as a value. They're kind of the same logic.
Okay. Either one's fine with me. I think they're both low-owned, fine filler plays.
I'll go Jett Howard for now, but that's something where the data updates, honestly, like 15 minutes from now, maybe he's not going to be as appealing. But with the Anthony Black news, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I know you really like Kling Yang and he's popping up as one of the better values. Should we put him in there?
Yeah, probably for like one build. Kling Yang looks pretty good.
Okay, so we'll put him in there, and then I would prefer to get to one of the top guard studs that we have if we can.
Okay.
Whether that's Luka, Cade, we have Maxey, SGA. Like, I want to get to one of those. So did you have one, or we could go with the chalk in Portland with Jrue Holiday too?
Yeah, cool with either one. Let's go Holiday or Cade here. I like that. I like Cade in tournaments.
Cade, we'll try Cade.
Okay.
If that doesn't work, then we can adjust. So we have 4.2 left over. It is a little thin, I guess, if we do that.
If we're building for Zion out here, I know he's not really popping right now, but
Mhm.
Malkovich is super cheap.
Mhm.
I think he would be fine to mix in at his price.
Yeah, and honestly, I would be pretty comfortable getting to Herbert Jones as well in that regard too. I don't know if I want to play both of them together. I know it worked out yesterday, but let's see. So we're at 4.5 left over. Let's just try to find like a 5K play if anyone's popping up. We'll sort by DK value again. Kada's there, Thompson's there. Then we have Schreierman, Caleb Martin, Barlow, Chris Murray.
It's rough down here for value, man. Did you have a favorite guy? I'm kind of trying to decipher who I
We
like.
got Silva too for Orlando, who's somewhat chalky.
Yeah, I don't hate that. We had another Orlando piece. We could potentially go to
Do
Silva.
you want to put Drew Holiday in there instead and see what instead of Cade or not?
Yeah, we can. I was gonna say Holiday. Maybe we could go Holiday. I don't know if I want to get DeJounte in there too. Let's just go Holiday until we can do the last three
Yeah.
spots.
So that leaves us with 6.6 left over. It's definitely much easier there. So DeJounte.
Yeah, I think DeJounte is pretty solid. Once again, if this Zion news goes the wrong way, probably bump down to all these guys. But
Yeah.
just for now.
7.4 left over. Bane, who is somewhat chalky.
I like it. Yeah.
It works. So yeah, decent. It is kind of interesting slate because again, I don't particularly love the studs. I think they're all solid, I should say. I guess one doesn't stand out to me. So I think that's the make or break point on this slate is kind of getting that correct. But lots of interesting chalk. I would say it's all mostly correct. What are your final thoughts here for this slate?
Yeah, very, very interesting slate, Eric. I think my biggest takeaway is maybe try to get away from some of this Dallas chalk, in particular the veteran type of guys that can get yanked quickly. That's probably my final thoughts. Did you have anything different to end off the slate?
No, just kind of waiting on really that Pelicans Clippers news, John Collins and Zion. Hopefully we get that before lineup lock, and really hopefully we get that before the big gap because it goes, the early games, 2 of them, and then a big gap, 2-hour difference there. So hopefully we get that before the Philly Boston game and the OKC Dallas game. That's going to make a decent difference there for how the slate goes. But yeah, just be on the lookout for that news.
Agreed.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for tonight's video, guys. Appreciate you being here. Good luck. And are you in the Discord tonight?
Yeah, and one more thing, make sure to like and subscribe before you hop out of here, guys.
Perfect. All right. Catch you guys in the Discord.